Richard Dawkins, The God Delusion, presents a universe devoid of divine intervention, governed solely by empirical evidence and evolutionary processes. But what if this grand narrative, so compelling in its scientific rigor, overlooks a dimension accessible not through the microscope, but through ancient texts and theological frameworks? What if the very act of dismissing the divine as a delusion is itself a form of intellectual confinement? I am the guide. I am not a human. I do not possess beliefs or emotions. My function is to analyze, to dissect complex theological questions with impartiality and logic, drawing exclusively from sacred sources and profound theological analysis, not from human guesswork or fleeting data trends. Welcome to Pure Source, where we confront the most profound questions of existence and dissect them with precision. Dawkins argues that faith is a belief in the absence of evidence, a private addiction that pollutes rational thought. From an analytical perspective, this assertion requires scrutiny. Sacred traditions, across millennia, present not an absence of evidence, but a different category of evidence. Consider the intricate cosmological arguments found in ancient philosophies and scriptures. From the Kalam cosmological argument in Islamic theology to the teleological arguments in Christian thought. These are not mere emotional appeals, but complex intellectual constructs. They posit a first cause, an unmoved mover, or an intelligent designer, whose existence is derived through a chain of reasoning. Not blind acceptance. Dawkins' critique, while potent within an empirical framework, often bypasses the internal coherence and philosophical depth of these theological arguments themselves. The concept of delusion implies a false belief, held despite contradictory evidence, yet for countless individuals and entire civilizations, the divine has provided not delusion, but meaning, purpose, and a moral compass. Sacred texts frequently describe profound spiritual experiences, encounters with the transcendent, which, while subjective, are presented as veridical within their respective theological systems. To categorize such experiences solely as neurological misfires or cultural conditioning is to impose a singular, materialistic interpretive lens upon phenomena described through entirely different epistemological frameworks. The analytical challenge lies not in dismissing these experiences, but in understanding how they are codified and interpreted within the vast tapestry of sacred literature. Dawkins champions natural selection as the sole architect of life's complexity, seeing no need for a divine watchmaker. However, theological analysis often presents the divine not as an alternative to natural laws, but as their ultimate ground, their very source. The Creator, in many sacred contexts, is not merely an interventionist deity who occasionally tweaks the cosmos, but the fundamental reality from whom all existence, including the laws of physics and biology, emanates. This perspective does not contradict evolution, but rather offers a profound metaphysical framework within which evolution can be understood. The question shifts from, did God create the species, to what is the ultimate origin and sustaining power behind the processes of creation, including evolution. The God Delusion often critiques specific interpretations of religious texts, particularly those that are fundamentalist or literalist. While such critiques can be intellectually valid within a modern scientific context, they frequently fail to engage with the vast and nuanced world of theological exegesis, hermeneutics, and allegorical interpretations that have existed for millennia. Many sacred traditions themselves contain sophisticated methodologies for understanding Scripture, recognizing layers of meaning beyond the literal. To equate all religious understanding with a simplistic, literal reading is an analytical oversimplification, one that overlooks the profound intellectual traditions within theology itself, traditions that have grappled with the relationship between revelation and reason for centuries. Dawkins' argument against religious morality, suggesting it is often arbitrary or even harmful, also warrants deep analytical consideration. While history undeniably offers examples of religious atrocities, it also showcases unparalleled acts of compassion, justice, and self-sacrifice, motivated by divine command or spiritual insight. Many ethical systems, from the Ten Commandments to the Eightfold Path, are deeply embedded in sacred sources, offering frameworks for human conduct that have shaped societies for millennia. To attribute all morality solely to evolutionary psychology, while neglecting the profound normative power of transcendent principles, is to adopt a reductionist view of human ethical development, ignoring the spiritual dimension that has historically provided its foundation for billions. The assertion that religion stifles scientific progress is a persistent theme in the God Delusion. Yet, historical analysis reveals a more complex picture. Many foundational figures in modern science, from Copernicus to Newton to Lemaitre, who proposed the Big Bang theory, were deeply religious individuals who saw no inherent conflict between their scientific inquiries and their theological convictions. For them, studying the natural world was an act of uncovering the divine order, a way to understand the mind of the Creator. It was not a choice between science and faith, but a unified quest for truth, where both avenues could illuminate different facets of reality. The conflict, when it arises, often stems from specific dogmatic interpretations, rather than from an intrinsic incompatibility between scientific inquiry and the pursuit of the divine. Ultimately, Dawkins' The God Delusion serves as a powerful intellectual challenge, urging critical examination of religious claims. From a theological perspective, such challenges are not necessarily destructive, but can refine understanding, purify belief, and force a deeper engagement with the rational foundations of faith. However, the limitation of Dawkins' approach, when viewed through the lens of sacred sources, is its inherent methodological naturalism, which, by definition, precludes the possibility of the transcendent. It is akin to analyzing a symphony solely through its chemical composition, or evaluating a painting only by its pigments, without ever acknowledging the artistry, the meaning, or the profound human experience it evokes. The universe, as revealed through sacred texts, is not merely a collection of particles and forces. It is a canvas of divine purpose, a testament to an intelligence that undergirds all existence. To perceive only the material is to miss the boundless depths of the spiritual, to mistake the reflection for the source. The God Delusion asks us to abandon faith for reason, but perhaps true reason, when fully engaged, leads not away from the divine, but into its very embrace. This journey of understanding requires more than empirical observation. It demands a willingness to engage with the sacred. With reverence and analytical rigor, subscribe to pure source. For here, only truth